A mask can do many things. It can hide a person in a crowd, conceal one's identity, and even keep the wearer safe. Alternatively, a mask can make a person the center of attention and emphasize their presence to the point that anonymity is lost. Behind a mask, a person can be whoever they imagine. Hidden truths are revealed about a person's inner world when they choose to don a mask, especially those metaphorical masks such as online alter egos, or the many faces people present to others in daily life. My wish with this collection is to invite the viewer to explore a world of magical and mysterious masks and the truths they don't quite conceal, perhaps even to consider the masks they, themselves, have worn through life. Hello and welcome to the video tour of my new collection. This is a mask-themed series that I made and displayed in the Narrow Gauge Bookstore through the month of October, and it was amazing to make a bunch of works that all related to each other, that maybe told a story or many stories, and I'm really excited to share it with you all. I had a bit of a hard time deciding how to do this. I've been recording and re-recording this video since October, but in the end I decided I kind of just want to speak from my heart, talk about my artwork, and hopefully it's interesting. Alright, let's get started. This piece is called Vampire. You might recognize it from a video on my channel already. It's my first speed paint video. It was super fun to make, and it's an idea I've been playing with for a long time, about someone who maybe seems like their attention is elsewhere, but they're actually observing you, being watched, but in a sort of surreal way. I tried to play with like sharp textures versus like fluffy textures in this one, and I went pretty monochromatic with the color scheme. I think it works really well. I think that it expresses what I wanted. This piece is called Starry-Eyed, and I was playing with this idea of every person having their own inner realm, I suppose. We all contain multitudes, and every person you see has this whole life and inner life, and it's pretty incredible. It's a little scary also, and I wanted to try and express that idea, and it took me a long time to decide what besides outer space would go inside the heart shape on her face, but I received the suggestion to make her eyes like made up of separate stars and sort of suggesting the form of eyes. I just think it's a really nice illusion. I love the idea of things that are sort of fading into the background in one way, but also popping out in another way. And I love the idea of someone who is made of sky, and their inner space is like outer space. Because each person contains multitudes, really, and I wanted to express that in some small way. This is Harlequin, another one where I tried to do fading in and popping out of the background. This one was actually painted on a black canvas, which was an interesting experience. It really makes the colors glow and pop out. And with this one, I really want to do symmetry with some asymmetrical details to keep it balanced while also not being perfectly symmetrical. I thought that would be interesting. This one I also painted on a black canvas, and it's a mysterious person you're encountering in the night, and they seem to be maybe a bit more animal than human right now. I wanted them to be very directly looking at the viewer, and maybe not menacing, but like a little intimidating, with big reflective eyes reflecting the moonlight. And you can't be a Cheshire Cat without at least a little bit of a smile. This is the first of the big paintings in my collection, and it's one that I've been working on for a long time and sort of figuring out how best to express this idea. I think every person could probably look at this painting and think of a different backstory, a different way to describe what's happening. For me, it was thinking about it's a little bit like a fairy tale about a warrior who he needs to become stronger. He needs to maybe defend his loved ones, his kingdom. There's a way he can get power, and it's maybe not the best way to do it, but it will help him to help more people. And so this is about sort of that moral conflict and maybe being pulled in to scenarios you'd rather not be in, even though it is for arguably the greater good. There's a lot of texture, physical texture on this painting, which I think really pulls in the viewer. It's very like immersive. It feels like smoke and feathers and sky and bone and steel. All of these things combined together to create this spiraling composition with the skeletal bird helm, with who I imagine to be a goddess, uh, with her mask, uh, and all of the feathers and hair and smoke coming out and swirling around the hero. I wonder what you all might think of it. Is there something that springs to mind when you see this or any of the other paintings? I'd really be interested to find out. This is one of the pieces that actually sold at my show, and it felt very appropriate, being that this piece is about those small, wonderful things that come around unexpectedly, and it just, it's wonderful. It really is a blessing to have people look at my work, to even like it enough that they want to put it in their home where they live. I really like drawing plague doctors. I think they're really interesting. And I added a halo into this piece. It just felt right. It felt like this person is a protector, perhaps, someone who will hold tight to those small things and nurture them and help them grow. And I really enjoyed painting this and making a piece that has so much warmth to it. This painting, Capricious. This piece is a little more lighthearted and fun. It's just meant to be, I guess, another cat person, but not so much in the transforming way, but the putting on a persona sort of way. Like feeling more confident at a costume party and feeling like you can be more yourself when you're not. Not that I know anything about that. This piece also features plague doctors, and it's very precious to me. I really love plague doctor masks. I really think it's interesting how, while their methods were definitely not things we would do today, there was so much thought put into helping people during the Black Plague, and plague doctors were ultimately the people who came into these houses and did their best. I'm sure that that's a pretty optimistic view of things, but for this piece, I wanted to express a pretty optimistic idea. I wanted them to look like they're in a storybook, and they're indeed on their way to help. One at night and one during the day, always watching over everyone. These two pieces, I think, go together but also stand apart. I have the pink plague doctor hung up on my wall, and I look at it all the time and just I feel incredibly thankful to have been able to make all of these things, to share them. As another one of the big ones, and I could just go really big and go all out into this idea of someone watching over us, a hero, a superhero, one at so large a scale that we can't even really comprehend her, but she's still watching out for us. I tried for like a non-literal interpretation of space where I let it get really loose in the brush strokes and built up some texture, even went kind of like a watercolor sort of style with the acrylics. I think it works really well. I think that it still gives the idea of space, but it also gives a lot of feelings. I think that it gives it a point of view that's so macro, so zoomed out that space stops being what we expect it to be. With this picture, I really wanted to make her seem like she is a giant space goddess superhero who's here to help us. Again, I did the fading into the background with her mask. I want it to be as if she was part of the universe. And so this is one of my favorites that I've made in this collection. It feels like it came together so well. I think the colors just work so well together, and I'm very proud of it. This piece is called Guardian, and this one is it's also about someone watching over, but more the people that we don't really remember in our lives, especially when we were very young. Like we might not remember our grandparents babysitting us as a kid, but you can look back and see that they were watching out for you and they were taking care of you, even if you weren't really aware of it. And so I wanted this very caring, angelic sort of being protecting what she cherishes most, which is this egg, which I think really can represent anything precious. There's a lot of texture to this painting, probably the most out of any of them. I wanted it to seem a little bit like a fuzzy memory, like something you're looking back at and maybe not getting all of the details. It just gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling the whole time making this as well. It was just a feeling of love and care and preciousness. Much like in A Small Blessing, I wanted to show the importance of something small. That was the last painting, actually. These are some of the masks I made. I did a mask decorating workshop. It was so much fun. It was amazing. I had a great time, and gosh, everyone is so creative. Like, get some paints in someone's hands, and they will do things that are incredible. It made me so happy to have the chance to do this, to show my art, to make everything that I have ever wanted to make, and have such a great time doing it. I cannot recommend enough looking into local shows and bookstores, cafes, different places you might be able to display your art. And these connections are really great. I've learned so much, and I feel like I've gained a lot of experience doing this. I hope I get the chance to display my art in public again. Just seeing how people react. I had a reception, and so people came and we talked about my art, and I even sold a couple pieces, which was really cool. And it's just wonderful. Totally beside the point, but I also made cookies for my reception. They were actually a pretty big hit. And you'll notice some other masks that I made. I had so much fun thinking of creative mask designs that might spark like a costume or just an idea, a vibe. Maybe you can hang it up. So it was just delightful, really. And that's it. That's my collection. And I couldn't be more happy with the way things turned out. Here's to the next time around. Thanks for watching.